go. Man, that's a big one you got there. Heck yeah.
You might find me up on the bayou.
He got it, he got it, he got it.
In the ocean bay. Might be fishing on a mountain street or a lake down in Tennessee. Might as
Oh, it's
well
two of them. I
grab
got two
your
of them.
fishing pole.
Holy cow, look at
Come
that.
and go along with
One on each
me.
side. Yep.
We going fishing, boy.
Oh, my
Ain't you a
God,
lucky
they're both good ones,
dog?
Bragging about your big fish. There we go, girl.
I always like that, Jimmy. Hey.
There's one. Yeah, that's a good start right there, Sherry. You see how shallow that fish was?
Yes.
Golly, he come right up there and ate that legend spinner bait.
Let's see if he's got a
Fishing
friend back
sugar,
there.
yeah. Fishing. Look how strong he is, Sherry. That's why we're using
Golly.
50-pound high seas braid. Fishing Sugar Lake in Mexico, and we're coming after fish a lot bigger than that one. But I got to tell you, that's a good way to start. Oh, get in this boat. That's a good way to start right there. Sugar Lake in Mexico. We crossed over at Roma, Mexico this morning. It's about noon right now, and we just now got out on the lake, and that's a great way to start right there. This fish is super shallow. You see we're right in the very end of a little bitty tiny pocket, super shallow. That might be a big male. I don't think I'm gonna give that fish any sugar. Don't you kiss me, tell me I'm a boy. Okay.
Should have bit my hook.
Woo. Oh, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but that's one of my new half-ounce Legend spinner baits by Lucky Strike. And absolutely incredible, incredible spinner bait. You put a little bit oversized blades on them to help you catch bigger fish on them. And by golly, that concept works. I mean, that concept works. I saw him come up and get it. Of course, that water is not very deep. You couldn't hardly slow roll it there. We don't know where the fish are. The water temperature is pretty doggone cool. It's the last week in February, and the water temperature right now is 62.7 where we are, which is the warmest we've seen. We've only been seeing about 61-degree water. That makes sense that that bass was up here in the warmest possible water that he could find. A little one right by that tree, Sherry, come up and got it right on top. Little one.
Little one.
Yeah. I like them. I like them all. What Sherry and I are doing here, I told her I'd run my bait up on top a little bit. That's another male. That's another male. Now with the males up here on the bank like they are, there's probably some, I think there's where a water turkey's got a hold of that. See that right there? And then on this side, a water turkey's grabbed him right there and he's got away from it. Bass are strong, and a lot of times they can get away from water turkeys. But I got Sherry's running her bait down a little bit deeper. Of course, after those first two fish,
Not
she'll
anymore.
probably running a lot shallower. It's a lot of fun to run it shallow. There's no doubt about it. And,
Little one. Little one.
Sherry got a male up there on that
Little
bank.
one.
She put her spinner bait on top of the water.
Yes, I did.
She's tired of not catching one.
I learned real quick.
You got one now, though, baby.
Yes, I do.
Sherry's
Kiss
caught a
you.
jillion
Mwah, go
bass.
tell him I get you. Okay, so much for slow rolling the trees out in the deep.
Well, you need to do both.
Yeah.
That's just all out in open water right there. It doesn't bother me catching that size fish. Doesn't
Won't
bother me at all.
either. I'll quit hunting.
I know that there's a lot bigger fish here, and some of them gonna bite. You can see why you got to use heavy line down here, though.
Oh my gosh.
You can see how that eat up monofilament line doing all that.
Oh yeah.
But with that braid, doesn't eat it up too bad. Now you see these fish, see they got little flat bellies, no egg sacs, and they'd be full of eggs right now. Those are just male bass. They're pretty nice male bass. There's nothing wrong with them. But their girlfriends are nearby, and their girlfriends are some of the biggest bass on the planet down here.
This portion of Jimmy Houston Outdoors has been brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Jimmy Houston Outdoors, America's favorite fishing show, is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. By Mercury Marine, go boldly. By Soft Science, supreme comfort footwear for the angler. By Shell Rotella, the engine oil that works as hard as you do. And by Super Start batteries, available exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Yep, got one little one.
Find you one?
Got me one.
He was out in the middle, wasn't he?
Uh-huh.
That's another male, though. Still no females.
Yeah.
We're just catching the boys. You catch the boys, I'll catch the girls.
No. Mwah.
No deal, huh?
Want your mama. Want your mama.
I wasn't the one that made that splash, I
No.
promise you. You see how many casts it took to catch that fish, though? We saw a big old female blow up right in that little spot there. We was back out there a little further out on that point. And I mean, it just come up and probably ate one that size. And so we got over here and got position. I've been letting Sherry throw in there, and then I started throwing in there, and we've thrown 10, 15 times a piece in this general area right here. And that fish might have moved. I mean, we don't know that she's still right there, but she's got to be right here in this same general area. And it's one of them big giant females. I mean, it was a big fish. Out there, he's jumping on the other side of the boat.
On the other side of the boat. Oh my gosh.
Jumping on the other side of the boat.
Oh, it's a nice one.
Yes, he is. I picked that little Lucky Strike football head up, put me a little craw tail on there. I didn't make 4 or 5 pitches, and it started swimming away. There's one of them big females that we're looking for right there. Yeah, buddy, yeah. Oh, it's a Sugar Lake fish right there. Ooh, man, they got the sharpest teeth. Oh, man, look at the belly on that booger, will you? Uh-huh. That's it right there. That's what you come to Sugar Lake to catch right there. Goodbye, baby. Just put me a little crawfish colored, little brown Lucky Strike football head jig, pitched it in that tree. And a little green pumpkin tail on there. Oh, yeah. I suppose you're going to want one of these too, huh, Sherry?
Yeah, probably so.
That might just be luck, I don't know. Cut my hand on that line. I'll set the hook. That was just up there on the bank. It wasn't around a tree or anything. Well, he ate that little jig. I'm talking about eating it. I felt him hit it pretty good. He thought he had him a crawfish. Yeah. The water temperature now has warmed up to over 65 degrees. 65 degrees. That was just on the bank. I just pitched out there on the bank, Sherry. I was leaving those trees for you. Pitch out there and walking off that bank with that. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Don't you break that line. He's in that tree big time. It's wrapped around that limb right there. I can't get him out of that limb.
Need help?
Can't get my line out of that limb. He's gonna break my line. Sure as the world. What I need to do is get a hold of the line below that limb, because that's where it's gonna break. Can you get a hold of the line? Get a hold of the line below the limb. Not a giant, he's just a pretty nice one. Well, you might get the bass. Get the bass. Then we get the line. He wrapped around it, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Getting my best side, huh? Golly. Golly.
She'd do anything to get her tattoo on TV. That fish, I thought, if it had got away, it'd been a 7-pounder. Pretty nice fish, though. Pretty nice fish. Did you get my bait?
I got you, bait.
Well, it's a team sport. This is a team sport.
When your daddy gets old, you got to take care of him.
Ooh, man, that's some pretty good line. That line, oh, it's so bad right there. That's only 17-pound test is all it is.
I thought you were hung up.
I was hung on that tree. I was hung on a fish in that tree. I switched trees all of a sudden.
Yeah, I looked up there and you were popping loose.
Yeah, I switched trees all of a sudden. Now see, that's a female bass there. It's not a big one, but that's a female. These females are just a little bit further out. They're not, and they're not aggressive. The females are not aggressive to hit that spinnerbait very well. But they, you know, you lay that jig on them, or they'll bite it, but they don't want to run that spinnerbait by them, even if you slow roll it right by them. They don't seem to want to hit it. The males will hit that spinnerbait, but the females, they want that crawl real slow.
Hey, little one. Hey, where one?
They come out of a tree?
Uh-huh.
All right. You're going to set the hook on one of them on that jig in a minute. He's going to be sure enough. Sure enough. That's going to happen.
Get my crawdad back.
Well, that's a small one.
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah,
set
to the baby girl, though.
yeah, I don't even set the hooks on that one of that size.
Oh, yeah, sure you wouldn't. Not unless it bit your hook, huh?
Unless I know the guy.
This portion of Jimmy Houston Outdoors is brought to you by Jimmy Houston Extreme Energy. Jimmy's Look Back is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time.
It's pretty well known that I pretty much paid my way through college selling catfish. I've caught literally thousands of catfish. But the biggest channel cat I ever caught in my life, I caught back in the early 80s, Lake Irvine, California, fishing with Nick Ellewick. This catfish was on a rod and reel, and it is a line class world record channel cat. Let's look back.
Here we are, folks, no dip net. Again. Nick, you want to play me while my arm's getting tired?
No, thank you.
Holy cow. Gee whiz. Look at that catfish. Oh. How big is he? He's bigger than that other one, looks like.
Got a bigger head.
Look at that catfish. Holy cow. That. What am I gonna do now?
Yeah, now what are you gonna do?
I don't have any idea.
Why don't you lip him?
Yeah, lip him. He'll bite my hand off. Golly.
Talk to him. Talk to him.
Good. Land's got that little number 8 treble hook in the side of his jaw. Here, Nick. You hold that end of it. I'm gonna try to. You may have to push the button and give him some line if he gets down on me. I'm gonna try to get him. I don't know, he'll bite my hand off. I know he will if I get under his gill plates. Look at him rolling, trying to get that little treble hook out. That's how one got away on the road runners, rolling like that. I want you, fish. If I ever get my hands under it, he'll break my hand. You need a dip net for this catfish. I got him now because he won't let go of my thumb. Look at that. God, look at that. Look at him biting my thumb. I mean, he's crushing it. God, turn loose of my thumb. God, look at that. Look what he did to my thumb. God, golly, look at that. Nick, this one's got to go in a live box. Holy cow.
Yep.
Jimmy's Look Back has been brought to you by Ranger Boats.
There he is. Well, he thumped it.
Did you find you one?
Found a good one, I think. I don't know how big he is. He's a strong son of a gun, I guarantee you that. Boy.
Come on, bring him up. It's a 30-minute show, come on.
Not as big as he acting, I don't think. But boy, he is strong. No, he's not that big at all.
Ah, I thought he was gonna be 10 pounds.
Well, I knew he wasn't 10, but I thought he was like 4 or 5. That's a big old fat son of a gun.
He
Boy,
thought
man,
he was big.
he's pretty good size. What are you talking about? Ah, little football head.
He
Jig.
shrunk after he got out of the water.
Boy, I'm telling you, he was strong. I don't know if there'd be a 10-pounder out there. We stopped in on this little bluff bank right here because you look at all the birds. See all the seagulls feeding off at the end of it?
And there.
And there's white birds feeding everywhere. There's wind blowing right in on here. The dam's right here. The big old long dam, about a mile long. And these ropes. One time, Toby Keith and I caught some big old fish right here. I think I caught one on a jig, and then we started crankbaiting and caught 2 or 3 or 4 big ones on a crankbait.
Find a baby.
Crankbait, small one. A little small one. Caught 2. Had to look quick. You do that to get to count them twice in a tournament. Double the weight. That's my favorite color in that deep smoothie. That thing, I caught so many fish on that. Well, there's a small one.
Look behind it.
Bit that smoothie though, didn't he?
It sure did.
That's a big old fat female. Little female, not a big old female, little female. You can sure tell the difference in the male and female. Them females full of eggs. Getting ready to spawn on that March moon. You need some needle nose?
Yes, I do. I got it in my right hand.
Oh,
I
so
got it wrong-handed.
what you're asking me to do is take it out of the
Take
fish's
the hook
mouth?
out of her.
What do you think I am, your daddy or something?
Well, I got your fish earlier today.
Huh?
I did yours a lot worse than you're doing mine.
I don't know where he's hooked.
There we go.
Ah! You could catch an old big one doing this too now. I'm telling you, I caught a lot of really big ones off these ripraps.
Got one?
Yep.
Mommy fish?
Pretty good little chunk. Ah, famine.
Nice fatty.
Whee! Whee! They have so much fun doing that.
I told you so, huh?
Oh, they have so much fun. They love it. That's one of the reasons
Such fun.
That's one of the reasons they bite, so they can do the bass spin. Spinning bass.
Such fun.
Boy, look how fat that guy is. Little small mouth. See how small the mouth is? That fish gonna grow up to be a really big fish. Needle nose needing a little real magic. Needle nose magic.
Jimmy Houston Outdoors is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. By High Seas, when the money's on the line. By Jackson Kayak, Advantage Fisherman. By Orion Coolers, never lose your cool. And by Lucky Strike, where preparation and opportunity collide. Houston's Helpful Hints is brought to you by Jimmy Houston High-Tech Performance Fishing Rods.
When you're pitching and flipping a jig like we've been doing out here today, one of the things that you want to do is make sure you got big, heavy line. I think that 17 is about the minimum you want to get away with. I actually broke my line setting the hook today, but I hadn't retied in about an hour, and I was down in the bushes, and might not have been a big fish, but you never know. Down here you could set the hook and have a 12 or 13 pounder. But you want to use a pretty heavy line. You know, really probably ought to be doing it with 25. I just happened to put this on 17. I've stayed with it all day. Here's another thing that you want to do on your jigs. I've got a little football head jig, which is a great flipping jig. It's got a little bit lighter hook than probably you might ought to have, but it's a great, just a little Lucky Strike football head jig. But I always flare that weed guard out. I flare the weed guard out and make it about an inch, inch and a half wide. That gives me a little bit more protection out here. It doesn't get me hung up near as much. Plus the fact the fish has got a little bit easier to push that down and get down to that hook. One of the key things you want to do is throw it in the heaviest possible cover you can find. In other words, if you can find a hole that you can get your bait right down in the middle of it, get your bait right down in the middle of it. Remember, it's a lot easier to get a bait out with a fish hanging on it than it is without one on there, because the hook is down in his mouth. So don't worry about that. Throw it in the meanest, toughest spot that you can. Right in the heart of it. You know, we talk about them being hanging in tight to the wood. That's the reason when they're in these areas like this. Now, we've caught several fish out away from the wood. Sometimes those fish follow it out. Sometimes they're out on the edge. But if you get down tight into the wood, you're going to be a lot better off. So heavy line, and it doesn't really matter. I use a high-speed reel. Only reason I use a high-speed reel is once I get my pitch made, I want to get that bait out of there and pitch it back in again. 90% of your strikes are going to come on the fall, so you don't need to work it too much. Let it fall to bottom. If you don't get a bite, try again. If you do, set the hook.
Well, it's late in the day and the sun's getting low. Caught me a big one, but I let him go. I sure had fun just watching him stretch my line.